Ow! Ha! Hi, I'm Danny Knightmare.
I'm Gory Movie.
We're Horror Addicts. And we just saw The Wolfman. Well, last night. But it was a lot of fun.
You're fibbers.
Well,
You're lying to the people. Lying to the people.
Less than 24 hours ago, we saw The Wolfman. So.
Yes. The Wolfman right here.
Woof.
He's on my chest.
Yeah. Well, not that one. People get mad because a lot of people, I guess, were expecting that one. But anyways, Wolfman. We just did Nosferatu recently. That was another callback. What year is this? Why were we using Nosferatu and Wolfman?
Everything gets remade, dude.
Exactly, and that's fine. I'm okay
with it.
It's like
we were talking about with Nosferatu. Like, the really great stories are timeless. Because even before Nosferatu, there's Bram Stoker's Dracula, the novel. So, like, that story's been going on since forever. Now, Wolfman, I don't know if there's one before the Lon Chaney Jr. movie, but I believe that's 1941. Don't quote me on that, but pretty close.
I believe there was at least, some sort of mythological legend of a Wolfman before that even. But that might have been like the official
There's
source.
a legend in this movie.
Exactly. And it's going to tell you in text right at the beginning. Little unimaginative in that beginning, but oh well. Didn't ruin the movie. It was fun.
I wonder if it's true, because I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah. Wolf head. Kind of like Gozu, but wolf head.
It was wolf face.
Wolf face, yeah. It's like a disease. Which, if you know anything from Leigh Whannell, if you saw his Invisible Man...
Who's the writer-director of the movie.
Yeah, and he also did The Invisible Man. And that's kind of what I went on this. I didn't go in this... They didn't advertise this to be like a remake of that Lon Chaney Jr. movie. It didn't look like it was going to be like that. So I went into it knowing that it wasn't going to be like that. Plus, I also have seen his other movie, The Invisible Man, which was a very unique take of The Invisible Man. I remember when I saw the trailer for The Invisible Man, I'm like, that looks kind of bad. But then I loved it, actually. It was actually pretty damn good. Not perfect, but good. And so I went into it with that attitude of, like, I know that he's doing, like, this anti-Universal monster thing, like, going on, like, because the Universal monsters are very theatrical, very over-the-top, like, dramatically cool icons, but they're larger than life. Where he's going the opposite with that. He wants this to be as realistic and kind of gritty and dark, kind of like when Christopher Nolan did the Batman thing. He's like, wants to be like that. But Christopher Nolan even left out certain Batman characters because he said that they would be too unrealistic.
And then they were at home crying that they were left out. And their moms were like, oh, it's okay, you have other friends. I'm like, no, I don't. Fuck you, Mom.
Exactly. Teen angst. So that's kind of what he's doing with the Universal monster movies here. And honestly, I'm kind of curious if he's going to do any more, because I'd like to see his take on a few of them.
It'd be hard to say. I mean, I think the reason he got this one is because the feedback from Invisible Man was so good. But I know largely a lot of people aren't loving this one.
It's gonna be
it's not just, I think, because it deviates so much from the original Wolfman. A lot of people have complained that it's too slow. I think that's all I've heard, is that they thought it was too slow and there was not enough wolfing.
I rather enjoyed it, but I will say that I think I liked his Invisible Man movie a little more. But let's go into it.
No!
We got Killer Kayla, Rising Sun. We got Rusty Cage and Fairpoint Station.
You're being naughty, Adam. You're being naughty.
Yeah, according to Google. All right. Anyways, so Wolfman, he's hungry, but like you said, more realistic. So instead of the word gypsy is not a good word, but instead of the curse and having the magic, he's definitely going to be a little more grounded here. We're going to avoid major spoilers, but
Major spoilers?
yeah. It is more of a disease. It says that right in the opening text, that this is like a disease that you can catch and pass on.
I feel like I think what I was expecting based on Invisible Man, since you talked about that so much, was that he was really trying to make it kind of something that would be more relatable to modern audiences. So it's like, well, maybe you can't relate to having somebody be invisible, but you could probably, or you are familiar with the concept of somebody being gaslit or somebody being stalked. And so he really brought it into that kind of a modern fear. And with Wolfman, I think it's more the fear of a few different fears, but the biggest one would be becoming your parents, especially if you came from a traumatic childhood, and in particular, like the idea of the cycles of abuse, like not necessarily like physical abuse, but like, if you have a parent who's abusive, that inevitably you will become so too. There's a really good line in the movie where Blake, who is Christopher Abbott's character, the Wolfman, says that sometimes we try so hard to protect our children from being scarred that we become the thing that scars them. And you can kind of see that with his dad. It's not really like, made super obvious, but it's kind of implied that Blake's mother has died, and that is why he is very, very strict, very overprotective, almost militant with Blake. It's because in his way, he's trying to keep him safe. Blake, not wanting to be like his dad, is trying to go for a much more like nurturing approach. But inevitably, as we will see in this movie, he too becomes the thing that his daughter is most afraid of.
Irony. Because his dad, like you said, very military, but he was like trying to protect him and like get him ready for the real world and make him disciplined, because he felt like that's what you need to survive in this world, especially kind of where they live and what's kind of going on where they live. However, Blake moved away, hasn't talked to his dad forever. They live in the city. They're a lot more relaxed. They're writers, him and his wife. She was a journalist as well. And he seems to, in a sense, baby his daughter as best he can, like, nurture her and her, like, creative freedoms and all that. He's quite the opposite of his dad in that way, but still, sadly, is
his
forced
dad
to
was very
repeat.
much like, I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself. And he says that in the beginning. I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself. I need you to know how to survive. Whereas Blake repeatedly tells his daughter, what is my job? It's to protect you. So your job is not to protect yourself as far as Blake is concerned. You're a child. You get to be a child. It's my job to protect you.
Yeah, until, sadly, irony takes a twisted fate for him. Because he finds out his dad has been finally legally declared dead, apparently missing for a long time. They go back to the house in Oregon, and yeah, things go awry rather quickly. We are like Invisible Man. We are quickly thrown into the action and the drama of it all. It does go, I would say, a little slower with action and less in between points, because the Invisible Man had quite the body count and quite of different settings.
This is almost, I think, more of a psychological horror. I think if you're going into it for a body count, there's like 3 characters in this movie.
They're
there's
very
like maybe
isolated.
4 characters in this movie, so you're not going to get that. To backtrack a little bit, they're also going a different way with this is almost more of a virus type thing. So the opening crawl, it does take place in the Pacific Northwest in Oregon. The opening crawl tells us, and I don't know if it's true. I'd be interested to find out if it is, that there was a man in Oregon who got lost in the woods, and then they say he developed this kind of condition called the face of the wolf, where I guess he just kind of ran out like a wild animal. And in the movie, in the opening scene, which is Blake as a young boy with his father hunting, he sees something really scary. And then you hear his father basically saying, hey, I think I saw that face of a wolf guy. So it's definitely in their area. So this is a lot different. Whereas in a lot of movies, I think you're really building up for the big transformation. I think it was kind of a misstep that they did try to show. I didn't watch it, but I just saw that they posted it, the transformation on YouTube, because the whole movie's the transformation. That's what this is. It's basically a long version of somebody succumbing to a virus. And I think if you go into this less expecting the Wolfman, where he turns into a creature and he kills people, and more expecting the Fly, where the whole movie is about this person slowly succumbing to a disease. And you can equate a lot of fears onto that. I mean, yes, it's the fear of becoming the thing you're most afraid of, but it's also like, you know, succumbing to disease. Like, a lot of people are not in control of how they behave when they become very, very sick. Or if you get like cancer or something, like your body's falling apart, or dementia, you know, you can be, you know, all the things that you never wanted to be. So there's a lot of different ways of looking at this, and I think that's really fascinating.
You can succumb to a lot of things, like to even being what will hurt your family. And even if it isn't like intentional by any means, like you could be an alcoholic or even a gambler, you could end up hurting your family if you were like succumb to this. And obviously that's not exactly what it is, but I feel like metaphorically a lot of people could relate with that. And it's basically like this crazy rabies virus in this. Like, it's gonna make you go feral and wild, and the choices, like, as you're there trying to keep your humanity to protect your family, but realizing that you are slowly becoming a danger to them. I almost felt like this was like a wolf version of Night of the Living Dead. It also has a very setting, because like they're in a farmhouse, there's like a truck nearby, there's like a lot of the same beats. I would say the metaphor is completely different, and it has different social meanings, but like beat for beat, it's very much the Night of the Living Dead.
And like you said, I don't think it is slow. Like, I would disagree with that review, that complaint I've heard a lot. I don't think it is slow, because it's not like we're just watching this guy slowly succumb to the virus. We are. Meanwhile, there is the wolf that infected him out there. So they are in danger. It's barricading themselves in the house he grew up in and stuff. They're trying to get the power going. They're trying to ask for help, because they have no idea that the father figure is turning into a wolf. They think that their biggest danger at the moment is that he seems to be getting sick, and there's a crazy person or animal outside.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people thought Nosferatu recently came out was slow. A lot of people would probably, I guess if Night of the Living Dead came out today, people would probably complain about it being slow. But just because it takes time for some social commentary and stuff, and have characters like talk, interact with each other,
Dude,
I
she
don't
gets
personally think
attacked by a zombie in like the first 2 minutes of Night of the Living Dead. That movie ain't slow.
There's a werewolf attack in
shit
the
holds
beginning of
up.
this movie too.
That shit holds up.
That's my point. Is I think people would complain. I don't think they're slow. I just think sometimes people.
You don't think the people complaining are slow? That's not what you said on the drive home.
Yeah, they're very slow.
Cancel, Gory.
Drive, slow children at play, drive safe.
Exactly. What were you guys thinking? Come on, guys. It's 2025.
Julia Garner's in here. I've enjoyed her work in other horror movies, so I'm glad that she's continuing to do it.
What other horror movies?
Wasn't she in other movies?
I don't know. What movies were they? You don't even know? Oh, you enjoy her work so much. You don't even know.
Well, now you're putting me on some spots, so am I getting it wrong?
I don't know. I know she was in Ozark. What else? I guess she was in Apartment 7A, but which you haven't seen, you big frickin' liar pants.
But I have seen Ozark. My grandparents told me to watch it, and I did.
Oh, wow. That's still not a horror movie.
Well, you're right.
You are so full of lying.
Okay, anyways, moving on.
Okay, she wasn't in the remake of We Are What We Are.
I've seen that. Well,
all right.
You go. I'm off the hook.
You're off the hook. I do know
Barely.
Christopher Abbott. He was in Piercing, and he was also in Brandon Cronenberg's The Possessor.
Yeah, and Leigh Whannell, even though he's the writer-director, he did the voice of Dan. I think it was the guy that was on the CBA radio.
His acting chops are best shown off in the original Saw.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Apartments. Yeah, whatever. That's the one. That's the one. That's the one. That's like 17A. You know what? It is. It's the thing. But we haven't seen it yet.
With Julia Gardner's look, though, for some reason in the trailer, the one trailer I saw before going into this, I assumed that she was Christopher Abbott's, teenage daughter.
I figured it out once we, beforehand, because I actually watched the trailer, but when I first saw who was cast, or I saw initial teaser trailer, I thought that they were both his children, because she looks so young. I guess, in reality, she's only like 6 years younger than Christopher Abbott, but she looked a lot younger. I think the other problem is they don't have a whole lot of chemistry. Like, they have no chemistry. He's in 2 movies that are kind of parallel each other. I'm trying to remember the name of one of them. One of them's Piercing, where he has a lot of chemistry with this person who's freaking crazy.
Oh, yeah,
the other one is trying to remember the name of it. Sanctuary, which is very similar because in that one he's kind of trying to end things with his dominatrix, but they have insane chemistry. So I have seen him have chemistry with people. I'm not sure what the casting situation was there. I think they are both very, very talented. The other problem too is they have problems from the get-go, and I think writing wise, had they made them not have so many problems. But then again, I have a couple ways of looking at it. Maybe we could have seen more chemistry if we saw them in a good period, a flashback or something. On the other hand, I think this movie also, if you want to delve into like maybe the themes of it, is a metaphor for how marriages break down, and largely due to poor communication. As Blake is succumbing to this illness, he doesn't see things as they are. He sees things really, really overly bright, so things are monstrous. And he hears people kind of like the adults in a Peanuts movie. So there's his family's like, we love you, and he's just hearing wah, 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 wah. But it's scarier than that.
Yeah. Honestly, that's what I was going to say, is I feel like that it was intentional that they didn't have good chemistry because we were at their rough point. And he acknowledges that before they even go out to his dad's house. He's like, how are we doing? Because I don't think we're doing great. And he brings her lunch and everything at her work, and he wants to, like, maybe this trip will be really good for us, because he wants to save it. He wants to fight for it. But he knows that they're in a bit of a slump. And so I think that's probably why.
I honestly think even a better way, instead of having these kind of Cold War type fights between them where they're not shouting, there's no love there, there's resentment and stuff, I think honestly having them have a knockdown drag out shouting match would have been good, because there's passion in that, and maybe we could have gotten some chemistry. So that's one area I think could have been improved. It is not a deal breaker.
No. And the way he kind of describes it is they are losing their passion. I don't think, because they haven't been that violent, but I think the reason why their fights are pretty tame is they're both holding on for their daughter's sake. But maybe this trip will fix everything. No, of course not. He wants them to go see this beautiful view that only you can see in the hills of Oregon, and that's why they're going.
My interpretation of it, and this isn't a spoiler, this is just my freaking interpretation of it, because you find out in the very beginning he is a writer. We never see him write. He's between jobs, which means he don't have a job. That's what I mean. He don't have a job, right? So his wife, but when they're in the car, she tells a stranger, she's like, "I'm a journalist." So she takes a lot of pride in that, and I think she takes a lot of pride in working, and I think she's lost a lot of respect for him. It also seems like he's not in a big hurry to find another job, because it seems like his passion is being a dad. So he is right now the person who's caring for their child, and I think that's another thing to kind of ask about. Like we have a lot more respect for women who choose to stay at home with their children than we do for men. It seems like they're making enough money. They're living in a very nice place in this city. I think she's able to afford to care for them, so why the pressure for him to get a new job? It doesn't seem to be because of his passions and his desire to write. It seems like that's something she's putting on him.
And it also, at one point, she admits that she doesn't know if she's good at being really a mom at this point, because she is putting her passion into her work, that she definitely believes her daughter relates more to him.
And maybe that's how, this is the thing. We should have had a good fight knocking this stuff out. This would have been a good fight, because I'm starting to psychoanalyze their relationship. I feel like he is resentful of her because she's a successful writer, and that's what he set out to do. But he realized, maybe that's not for me, but without really realizing it. And I think she is priding herself on being a journalist, something that he has failed at because he is doing such a great job as a dad. It makes her feel like a failure. So she's also jealous. So they're both jealous and resentful of each other for succeeding in areas that the other one has failed in.
He also
where's the therapy money, Charlotte and Blake?
Very early into the thing, he tells his daughter that now that he can't talk to his dad, that he kind of wishes he could, because he hasn't talked to his dad in forever, and his dad's apparently been missing forever because they've been expecting this notification that his dad is dead.
We're assuming that because he's declared dead, and that's one of the things I was like, well,
based on what they tell me, that's what I have to assume on.
Yeah.
And so,
sorry.
Anyways, I feel like he thinks that this trip he's gonna try and make a positive out of it. Like, even though it is depressing to hear that about his dad and the relationship that he had with his dad, he's so invested in keeping a good relationship with his daughter, and he wants to make things with his work, that maybe this is a Hail Mary. It'll, like, help him maybe he wants to go see that view in Oregon. Maybe he'll become inspired.
Well, the view is important, because I've seen some people say that they were disappointed with the ending. He says specifically, it's the kind of view that makes you feel like everything's going to be all right.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole point of him wanting to go there, is maybe then he will lose his writer's block. Maybe then his wife and his daughter will bond. Like, I feel like that whole view is like a Hail Mary to fix everything.
He wants that sign that everything's going to be all right. He thinks that's going to be the perspective. Yeah. So the other movie I would compare this to would be Cujo. And the reason why is because, again, Cujo is slowly succumbing to this disease. It makes Cujo not behave like Cujo. Cujo's an adorable, sweet St. Bernard who's lovable, big, happy, like dog. Beethoven. In the beginning. He basically is. But the problem is he is very strong. So Blake, as much as he wants to be this softie who is... I think that's part of why they haven't had a fight either, is because I think he's afraid of losing his temper. He's afraid of that, and he's afraid of conflict. And so he is slowly succumbing to this thing that's making everything amplified. So he's super irritable. And he's already much bigger than his daughter. He's already a threat to her as just a normal man. He's already a threat to his wife, who's much tinier than him as a normal man. On top of that, he's becoming a freaking wolf. So he is very, very dangerous. And you can see him fighting and fighting to keep that animal at bay, the same way Cujo was fighting to not let the rabies overtake it. I think my favorite scene in Cujo is this one where he's looking at his boy, and you can tell that's the last bit of Cujo. That Cujo has took the last bit of who he was to not hurt the boy he loves more than anything. And that's what this man is doing. He is holding on to these scraps of who he was, because the most important thing in the world to him is his daughter, and he would rather die than ever hurt her.
Yeah. But like Cujo, noise really irritates him and hurts him. His vision is completely different now. He's seeing things that aren't the way they're supposed to be saw. And like we said, it never officially tells you what happens with Blake's mom. For all we know, his dad's like behavior and attitude drove her away. She either died traumatically or his dad drove her away. Either way, he does not want to be like his dad. He does not want to be angry. He does not want to be like hard and stern. He wants to be soft and the opposite.
What if she got lost in the woods too?
Exactly.
What if she got killed by something else?
Like I said, it could have been traumatic and she died.
We're reading so much into
it never tells you. So like this is our way of looking at it. We know the way he like talks about his dad. She either died traumatically and he kind of blames that whole life on it, or maybe his dad just drove her away, and he blames his dad for that. Either way, he stopped talking to his dad. He states that.
But I feel like Leigh Whannell's goal here was less to horrify you. Not that there are not horrifying moments. There's some really good body horror in here. Again, expect the fly, not the Wolfman. You're going to be happier. There's some gross body horror stuff in here. There's not a whole bunch of people being attacked by a wolf. It's just not going to happen in this movie. This is more like The Fly. Also The Fly in that it's a tragic love story. You know, we see how much this man loves his daughter, and the idea of becoming something that is incapable of loving her is horrifying. So looking at it from that point of view, you're going to get the horror that I think Leigh Whannell is intending, which is very different than the horror that was in the original movie. I think these are the conversations he wants us to have. That's what his intention was, more of a psychological thing. What he did, I think, maybe more successfully in The Invisible Man, but I don't think he failed at here.
No. I would like to see him go after a couple other Universal monsters. I kind of like his different approach to it. We will always have those Universal monster stories, and we'll have remakes of them in that way as well. I'm sure it will happen. So it's kind of cool to have like a more grittier, like down-to-earth take on them.
I'm surprised people are so precious with the Wolfman story. I think maybe it's just because we just, sadly in horror, we don't get enough werewolf movies. As a girl who's a sucker for a werewolf movie, that makes me deeply sad. But then let's look at something that has been adapted more. Dracula. Dracula has been done every way you can do Dracula. I mean, seriously, Dracula, a horror. I've seen Dracula's dog, a bad vampire dog that's owned by Dracula. It's good.
Though it's funny, actually, if you wanted to do something different with Dracula, do it actually beat for beat by the book. Because that would actually be the most different version.
I mean, honestly, yeah. But yeah, Dracula, has been done every single way you can do Dracula. So I don't think anymore we're that precious with remakes of the original movie or even the book. We don't expect it to be exactly the same. I'm so surprised that so many people expected this to be so much like that 1940s movie because, you have to just. It's like the oral history things. Things change as they are passed on. If they don't change, what's the point of remaking it?
Yeah. You
still have that old movie.
Yeah, and we're going to get plenty of remakes that still tell that story. I know we will. It's bound to happen.
I would have liked more. He didn't do this with The Invisible Man either, so I was not disappointed. But a few nods to that movie would have been nice. I'm not talking like beat you over the head fan service. I don't need them to repeat lines and stuff, unless they wanted to repeat the poem that is in that one. Even a man who says his prayers by day could become a wolf. Oh, shoot, I don't remember all of it. But yeah, that or the pentagram on the hand. They could have done something small, but I'm not angry that they didn't.
No. So overall,
I gotta get my dog.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
I got up too quickly. I slipped on the mat.
Wow.
What? How'd I get a row? You're weird.
These hungry little dogs. They're gonna eat us.
They're hungry like a wolf's.
Hungry like the wolf. Yeah.
That's what we should have done instead. Why don't we ever just have a karaoke night? Why are you always making me review stuff?
Because we'll get demonetized for karaoke.
Gosh darn it.
This ain't TikTok. Was that
Kayla and Doug saw it with us. What did Kayla think?
Yeah, Kayla, you saw the movie with us.
Yeah. Oh, she wrote it right there.
Okay, well, there you go.
I
thought this movie was pretty good and unsettling. I made sure that my doors were locked before bed. Well, there you go.
She looked so scared. So I will say there's one pretty great body horror moment. I'm not going to spoil any of this for you. I thought that was really effective, especially because, I don't really... body horror stuff like that. At this point, I've seen so much gore stuff, it's really hard to shock me. But I do delight in seeing movies with my dearest friend, Kayla, because she was just like... And I was like, Doug, comfort her. That's her husband.
Dougie Fresh.
I feel so bad for her. They made us sit in separate places, guys, because Doug and Dan always sit next to each other, and then we sat next to them this time, but we can't sit next to them and sit next to each other. I think you should make a comment in the chat about how that's really unfair and maybe even a little sexist.
I told you could go sit with her plenty of times. It would not have hurt my feelings.
Yeah, but then I can't sit with you, too. If me and Kayla could sit in the middle, then you guys would be apart. And we would, but just one time. Or take turns so I could have my Dan and my Kayla. Well, why do I have to choose?
Next time, let's get there before them, and then that way they can choose who sits there. You can be in the middle, and therefore Kayla will sit in the middle next to you.
Fine, we're going to.
It's not my fault where they were sitting.
Now
when
we're
we got
having
there.
marital problems because of the freaking wolf man.
But yeah, there was a body horror moment in here, which was...
seats behind
I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is, but it's something that, like, dogs and I'm assuming wolves do when they have, like, kind of an injury.
Nodding?
No, not that.
Oh, look that up.
What they do when they have an injury, and it's actually pretty unsettling to see a human do it. A humanoid person do it.
Yeah, there's just some other cool things. Like him transforming, I was not bored at all. I was really interested in that. Again... Think more The Fly. Remember how, like, when we're watching that, we're not bored that Brundlefly isn't going around killing people. We're like, what's going on? His teeth are falling out? This poor guy. It's more, like, you can equate this to the horrors of aging. Your body falling down. The horrors of disease. You can equate this to, just...
leprosy.
Even just slowly becoming your parents.
Yeah.
Just becoming something you don't want to be. There's a lot of different ways to look at this, and I think if you're open to it and you're not just going in it ready to hate watch this thing because your favorite YouTuber, which I guess isn't us, thanks, your favorite YouTuber shit on it, I think you actually can get a lot out of this.
I wouldn't say it's a perfect movie. I mean, it left me wanting a little more, and I made probably a little changes here and there, I guess, but one of them, with the transformation, I think at the very end, maybe a little more wolfy. That would have been nice, but it's okay.
It's a wolf man, Danny. Wolf man.
I know. But a lot of people get mad at that transformation. He looks like just kind of a diseased old man, which that's kind of to make it more realistic, and I get that. Would it have been nice to have a little more snout or snoot?
They're trying to make this conceivably be something real. And I mean, honestly, we do have diseases that mean, like, I believe the definition of lupus, like at the core of it's Latin, is like wolf face. Though that's not, it doesn't make you do that stuff. It just changes your face. Mm-hmm. But I mean, even
it could have been a little hairier shirt.
Like when calling someone a lunatic, it basically means somebody who's been transformed by the moon. There is a history of diseases, or I guess not diseases necessarily, but afflictions that make people become feral. Again, don't confuse this with lupus. I just put that in there because of the root word of the name. Yeah. But thinking of, like, you know, when people talk about, like, being a lunatic or something. And I'm very curious to know if this Oregon story is true. Mm-hmm. So I think that's really fascinating. I think they went into the look of the werewolf, the wolf man, with that in mind. They wanted it to look like, conceivably, like somebody that you could be like, you know, that's just a guy who's really sick, who's been in the woods. But you could also mistake it for an animal.
Yeah, I mean, he does transform. He does change a bit, but he
a little bit. I do think some more of that on screen would have been kind of cool, but we do see quite a bit. But it doesn't happen all at once. It's honestly, again, Brundlefly was the same thing. Every time we flash back to Brundlefly, he's worse. We're like, oh, honey.
Yeah, I think maybe at the end, it could have looked a little more worse or something.
Dude, he looked way better than the scare actor at Universal Studios.
I agree. I feel like anybody comparing it to that is being way harsh. But
he looks fine. He looks fine.
Fine,
Blake,
but not great.
Honey, you look fine. All right? You look fine.
That's my point. It's not perfect. It could have looked a little better. It was fine.
Wow. That is not very Wolfie positive.
Is it? I am very Wolfie positive.
I don't think you are very Wolfie positive or very Wolfie fantastic.
Am I wolf shaming a little bit?
I think you are.
All right. Well, that's a critique that I kind of have. And some people I think are blowing it way out of proportion. I think it. Yeah, now, I can see it.
As far as my actual genuine critiques of the movie, which again I disagree with the popular critiques. I think my biggest critique of Leigh Whannell and his writing of this, as I feel like it's a little too handholdy. I feel like it's a little too on the nose. I think he really wanted something that people could take apart and analyze and delve into, but I feel like he spoon-fed a lot of it. Namely, like there's an exchange. There's a lot of these in movies with parents and children. You know, what is my job? He asks his daughter. You know, to protect you. What is your what job? To read minds. What am I thinking? That I love my little girl. Obviously, like it's kind of just putting it, you know, and the thing he says about the scar, like he says so many things that are so dialogue specific, like to let us know what the theme of the movie is. You know, even saying the thing about the view. A lot of this, like I feel like all the dialogue was purposeful. It was a little too purposeful. It was letting us know exactly like, hey, remember what the theme is here. Remember what the theme is. And everything was so on point with that theme. Like, I want something a little off that. You know, let us think a little more. Don't make it so obvious. Like, I really feel like all the stuff with the little girl was very, very cutesy and a little too on the nose. She did not read to me like an actual 10-year-old girl. She's 10.
The actress is 10.
She's still calling her parents mommy and daddy. She's written like she's like 4. And yeah, so I thought all the stuff with the little girl was really cutesy. No shame to the actress. No. I think she did a very good job as she was directed. I think she did a fine job. I think the way the character is written and the lines between the father and the daughter, all we have is cutesy. Yeah. And it's just, like I said, a little too on the nose. So a minor complaint, but it is what kept it from being something that would have been great. Like, I consider The Invisible Man to be great. It's something I can rewatch and get a lot from. Yeah. Like I said, it was just a little too, I guess, choreographed for lack of a better word.
Yeah, like I feel like he didn't trust the audience enough to catch some of it. Exactly. And to be fair, there are plenty of people who go out to these movies and they won't. To be fair, but I got it. I felt like it was a little over on the nose. You felt that way, like he
wants this to be a really smart movie, but he's writing it for dumb people.
Yeah, and maybe that was the problem. Like, pick a lane, I guess. As for her, yeah, she did not feel like she was written as a 10-year-old. The actress did fine. Acting is hard. I'm 41. I don't think I'm a great actor. I think she could be done well. I think she was just the way she was directed and what she was doing was the problem. Because she's sitting there saying, "Mommy," and then she would give exposition kind of little dumps, but with a cute little, "Mommy, this is what's happening. Mommy, that's how this feels."
Also, weird thing. I remember this. Sorry to interrupt, but I remember this. There's one point in the trailer where she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And he shows her a pad where it says "changing." In the movie, it says "dying." Why the difference? I don't know why. But yeah, it's a little on the nose. And again, that compiled with the other complaint I had earlier, the casting. Again, no actor is bad in this, but you can't really fake chemistry. That's why they put that into casting. You know, you have chemistry with certain people and you don't have chemistry with other people. I think strong chemistry between these three actors could have really driven home the themes that are very, much about family and about relationships. Yeah. He and his wife need to have strong chemistry. That should have been way more important than whatever their criteria was. Yeah. Yes, they are talented actors who can look scared and can look upset, but you can't fake that chemistry. Yeah. And the same thing with our little girl. Like, he keeps telling me how much he loves her and stuff, and she keeps saying how much she loves him. I didn't feel it. So, again, chemistry.
Yeah. Kayla mentions when he takes out the truck to the battery. At that point, I felt like he should have been a little too gone. Maybe he shouldn't have been carrying it because they kind of made it seem like communication has broken down, and then yet he's doing that. It was maybe the timing on that was a little.
The part with the truck, this is a minor thing. The part with the truck that upset me because he looks fucked at this point. He's full brundled.
Yeah.
Maybe not full brundled fly, but he's brundled the fuck up. I am
wolf.
So sorry. Get your children out of this room because I'm going to swear a whole bunch. He's brundled the fuck up. Anyway, she knows he's brundled up. He's losing hair and everything. And she goes to jumpstart the car with this battery, leaving him alone in the car with her daughter.
But first he carries the battery, though. And, it's just a little weird because I don't know if he should be doing that. If he's that far gone already at this point.
She should know, A, he's pretty sick and he shouldn't be doing that. But I was really surprised that she left him alone in the car with her.
Yeah. And I don't know. Anytime now people gather the keys and the battery and try to get a car going, I just immediately go to the Friday the 13th video game. So it kind of does take me out of a movie. Not this movie's fault that happens, but that's just the way it is.
Yeah, I was... yeah. I'm not going to spoil anything for you guys, so.
Yeah.
But it was suspenseful. I was really, almost more sad than afraid that he was going to hurt his daughter, just saying how much he didn't want that as a character. But they did feel really disconnected. And again, I can't stress enough that this movie is pretty much three actors. There are a few other small, teeny tiny parts. I really wish that when they were casting this, they found three people who could be believably a family. I did not believe for 1 second that these guys were a family.
No, not really. I would say not as good as Invisible Man.
Oh, Kayla makes a good point.
The whole thing, the arm right before. Yeah.
Because his arm's all messed up.
Exactly. It's just, it was.
Maybe he could have been saved. I mean, if I could figure out cars, I could be saved, but I can't.
Right? So I'm going to say it wasn't as good as his take on Invisible Man.
Dude, we already said that.
But, I know, you didn't let me finish. However, I would still say better than the other versions that tried to jumpstart the Dark Universe, better than The Mummy, better than Dracula Untold.
That's you can't even play Limbo with that bar. It's so low.
Exactly. Those movies sucked, and, if this is what we're getting for our universe, our Dark Universe right now, I'm fine. Make me another one. Bring out Creature or Mummy next. Creature of the Black Lagoon. I don't care.
I think it should be a given that it's better than that. I would say compared to other Wolfman movies, I think it's better than the last remake we got, the one with Benicio del Toro, which for me, totally not, I think, what they were going for. It wasn't scary. It was laugh out loud funny when Anthony Hopkins is ripping open his shirt, Superman style, and there's this gorgeous hairy chest.
And
I was
CGI
feeling
head.
Things. They were not fear.
Yeah, the CGI Anthony Hopkins head as well. That movie wasn't insanely bad, but I liked this better.
It's enjoyable, but I do think this is a better movie.
Yeah, and it was definitely scarier, at least creepier than that one. So if this is my Dark Universe, is my point, then give me more. Give me more.
I don't want the Dark Universe. The Dark Universe can suck it.
Yeah, well, I'm saying Leigh Whannell can make more if he wants.
I honestly don't think he's going to get more. I just know that overwhelmingly the response to this movie has been underwhelming. Yeah. I don't think he's going to get more. So I'm not going into it at all thinking about that. I hope you get the movie that you want, but I just don't think they're going to give him any more. It's been kind of, I mean, there's a reason they released this in January. They were getting bad feedback back when they did the scare actor thing.
Oh, yeah.
So I don't think that's going to happen personally. So I'm just going to view this as a standalone remake. And for what it is, it's decent. It got the bare minimum of the job done. I do think a ghostwriter or even a co-writer could have gone over Leigh Whannell's script and made it a little smarter.
As fair point pointed out, some maybe audience feedback one might have been nice, but I don't know. I overall did enjoy it. I'd probably give it about 3.5 stars. That's probably where I'd put it.
I gave it 3 stars. It's a decent film. I'm not angry I saw it. I don't necessarily need to ever see it again. It's not something I need to add to my collection. It's fine. It's decent. As far as Leigh Whannell movies go, Upgrade is still the best.
Upgrade
and
was
you gotta
the
go
shit.
check that shit out.
I liked Upgrade.
And as far as Wolfman movies, I mean, just go watch the original. Like, unfortunately, but I'm not gonna even say that because I just feel like there are some great werewolf movies, like namely American Werewolf in London and The Howling, which both came out in 1981. And I feel like it makes people very afraid to make werewolf movies because even with CGI, we still can't quite get it as good as those 2 movies did. I want people to keep taking chances. Even if you just make a decent movie, at least you took the chance and try to give us a werewolf movie because I think that's an area of horror that is so unexplored and so untapped, and there's so many stories there. And I want to see more different takes. I don't want the same Wolfman movie again. I don't want American Werewolf in London again. I want more different stories with werewolves.
I want American Werewolf in Ireland. That's what I want. Paris was funny. So, yeah. Like I said, I enjoy it. I probably will watch it again, and I don't need to rush out and do so. But I'll give it another shot, probably when it hits streaming or whatever on my smaller TV, but still awesome in my room.
And what about the... never mind.
So I'm going to say see it. Do you have to run out and see it in the theater? No, but you should check it out.
But I will say, if you have Movie Pass like we do, it treats all different showings the same. We saw it in the VIP room, and it cost the same amount of points. Yeah. What up, Movie Pass? Is awesome.
Thanks, Movie Pass.
So that's kind of the coolest part about it.
Though I miss old Movie Pass where I could just totally take advantage of that and see like a movie every day.
Dude,
I can
that's
see why
back
they
in
were.
the day. That's before these guys were even born.
Like,
ow! Jesus, your giant toenail just scratched my foot in half.
You kicked the chair.
Whatever. He has like these huge talons. I think he's turning into a wolf man.
No. All right. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm hungry like the wolf.
I have to go cook.
I'll help. But it is your day. We take turns. No, it's not always your day. Plenty of times not your way. Anyways.
There you go.